coined a phrase of work called DTF, Deep Transverse Frictions. And this will be one of my first self-help videos, and it's a foundation for anything that involves scar tissue. Scar tissue can be visible and it can be non-visible. Visible is where we literally have a cut or an incision made into our body, or where we've fallen on something and something split open, where we've needed stitches, or maybe even not even stitches, but where we have scars that are visible. DTF can also be used where we've had a muscle strain, a muscle tear, where there's scar tissue that's not as visible. We'll normally know that it's there though by the sense that we've had tenderness in the area, and often if the scar tissue is not addressed properly, we will continue to get ongoing problems in that same area. So someone that does a hamstring, often they do hamstrings, and it's not just once, it's on a repetitive nature because they don't get the problem addressed. It's like if you roll an ankle. If you've rolled it once, you're probably going to roll it 3, 4, 5 times because the rehab is not as appropriate enough. And we'll talk about the ankles and also say hamstrings later. But my thing today is DTF. How do we do it? Well, his idea, you can work on something that is acute, so something that is very, very recent, or you can work on something that's chronic, that's been a long time in the build-up and the making. When we work on something on an acute level, we've got to spend a short amount of time in any one area, 4 or 5 seconds, and it's very, very light. It's a gentle form of work. If there's a chronic type problem going on, then we can work on it a lot deeper and for a lot longer. The idea with the chronic is we want to break it up. We want to mellow it down. How do we do it? We place our fingers over the area. So if I had a scar, or if I've got an injury in through this region here, by placing my fingers over it and working, you don't need oil, by the way. The whole idea of this is you do not need oil. We want to have direct contact with the skin. We want the skin to move on the tissues underneath as per where it is sore. And it will almost always, if there's scar tissue, there'll almost always be tenderness in that area. And that's the area that we want. If there's no tenderness there, in all probability, you're not that bad. If there's lumps in the area, again, the DTF can help to break down lumps. Look at the scar tissue as something like guitar strings. I tell my clients, if I'm getting them to do it, look at them like guitar strings. You want to pluck the strings, and that helps to open things up. It allows the blood to flow in. It allows anything in there that needs to be flushed out to get flushed out as well. So we place our fingers on the area and we rub our fingers over the tissues underneath in a transverse manner. So most muscles go from point A to point B. So where the muscle is, we find which way it runs, and then we just rub our fingers over the top of it and get to the tissues underneath. And if it's an acute injury, we do it very lightly for less than 5 seconds in an area. And we can come back to it once a day, or maybe even twice a day. If it gets sore as a consequence of us doing it, if it's not feeling that good the next time we go back there, if it's feeling a bit worse, don't do it. If it's feeling a bit easier, which it should do, you're doing the right amount of pressure and you're doing it for the right amount of time. This goes with any sort of self-help work. If it's getting sorer each time, something is not right. Go and get it assessed appropriately by a medical practitioner. If it's easing off, you're doing good work. You don't need to at times know everything about what's going on, but if you're in doubt at all, please desist immediately and get it properly checked out by someone who has a good amount of knowledge. Preferably a sports doctor for, say, muscle injuries, or a sports physio, or a sports massage therapist.